Hello, sweethearts. 1 second while I just orientate. Is that a word? Orientate the camera to my face. Oops. Oh, my lords. All the lords. Every lord. Hello, lords. Okay. I believe I'm in shot. Hello. Welcome to Fieros Reborn. That's me. I am Fieros. I am reborn. Can you feel the power in the thing? Hello. Hello. Bing, bing, bing. Look at the room. Let's give you a little guided tour. Here's the room. Over here we have the bed, and over here we have the room. Yeah. So we've got the bed here, full of bedness, rich in beddy bedness. It is beddy goodness, beddy good, beddy good. That's offensive to Indian people. If they choose to be offended, they feel it. Here we go. There's artworks. Brown one, not brown. Blue one. That one. Multiple colours in there. Very lots of colours. 1, 2, 3. Oh, pizza is arriving. Hold the line and enjoy the room while I get me pizza like. Thank you very much. See you next time. Please, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, very good. We have the pizza. Rock and roll, isn't it? You got the rock and roll and coming along there, eh? You know what I'm saying? I got the pizza and chips here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit down on the bed and look in there and I'll do a little bit of. I'll eat some chips. Welcome to the video. How did you find the room? Did you enjoy gazing about the room? Did they put salt in there, did they? You're not supposed to do that because you can suffocate from bad use. I'm only playing to the camera. You know, innit? I'm a bag lady. Look at the size of that chip. It's like a giant penis. Okay, so who wears a bag on their head? Right, a couple of things before we get started. My friend Eros made of Aries. He's the Aryan race. Oh man, he's made a picture there. What do you think of that? Splendid, isn't it? If he does say so himself, and I report it to you. Oh, the bane of having millions of different sub-personalities. There you go. That's a picture, that is. Very good. Okay, so put that back on there. And we're going to crack on with a bit of Fieros' story time. I've just figured that I'd do it in this room because this is my room. And I am Fieros, supposedly. I am whoever I say I am. And if I wasn't, then why do I say I am? In the paper, the news, every day I am. I don't know. That's the way I am, motherfuckers. Yeah, so I feel like a tiny little dwarf in this giant room. Oh, I should not eat on camera because it's rude, isn't it? Supposedly. Now, we're in a big old room. It feels bigger now that it's got all these pictures on the wall. Because, strangely, I've managed to clear the energy in the room so that it feels more spacious in here, even though there's a fuckload more stuff in the room. Like, there's more pictures in the room, right? But before, there was a lot of stagnant energy in here. It's really shitty. Yeah, it was not a good vibe in the room. You know, I even started sleeping downstairs at one point because Well, because basically I'd broken up with a girlfriend, and all the good vibes that were in this room when I was with her suddenly turned to death vibes, the angry vibes of pain. And also I did a lot of smoking in here as well. Plus the room had set fire to itself at one point. So there's just a lot of anger contained in this room. I mean, this is my bedroom that I've been in since I was like 5 years old. I used to be in one of the other bedrooms over there. And then I moved to that one because it was bigger. And then I moved to this one because I realised this is the biggest second room apart from my parents' room. This is the biggest room apart from my parents' room. And I managed to wangle it so that I could just shove my brother into the lower rooms, crappier rooms. But now he's got a house of his own, so that sucks. Yeah, but so Fieros the story time. I can't remember where we got to though. Off the top of my head. It's always good to just say the word America and see what happens. America. What have we done in America? Well, all these pictures in here remind me of the sorts of pictures that I was looking at in America. I had that big book full of these kinds of deities, which was good. Yeah, okay. I told you that I went on this... I never really told the story of how I got back to Mrs. D's house. Well, I did. I mean, I told you I went on this massive, long, rambling journey from the police... not the police station. It was from the Greyhound bus station. Oh, there's just so many things. I think maybe I'm finished with America now. I think maybe I'm actually finished with that. We can say goodbye to Will, and we can say goodbye to Anthony, even though I've got his email and I need to try and get him to contact me again, because I changed my emails, as I mentioned before, and maybe he won't know it's me, because we used to have communication every now and again. We used to still keep in contact, and then I changed my emails, so buggery noise punching. Maybe you can do a thing where you can pretend you're using an old email address even though that email address is defunct. Maybe that could work. Okay, so we can say goodbye to him for the moment. We say goodbye to Joey and his acting, and the fact that his mum killed his father, his mother killed his father, mother murdered his father. I wonder if I could play that song for you. It's called The True You, but I can't remember for the life of me how it goes. Mother murdered his father. It was something very simple. Murdered his father. The true you. Okay, well, that's not going anywhere. Fieros' story time is grinding to a halt. It's because I'm out of my zone. I'm out of my area. This is my area. It's my special area, but it's also not a triggering point for the stories that I've been talking about, because I've been talking about the stories in that same place downstairs for the whole time. Now you're in here, and I don't know what to bloody say. Well, we need to transition from being in America to being back here in this home of Langley in Berkshire in England. So I got off the plane, I got in the car, the car with my dad and my mum and maybe my brother, but maybe it was just my dad, I can't remember. And apparently I said to him, if you ever try to get me sectioned again, you will never see me again. Don't worry about the chips. I'll heat them back up later. Yeah, and so he was pretty upset by that. I was pretty upset about being sectioned, otherwise I wouldn't have said it. Al! The story of Al. While I was in America, couch surfing, stayed with Al. He lived in the financial district. He had a nice apartment, okay, but he couldn't have me stay in there during the day. Right. When I first met him, we were in his kitchen and he just carried on talking and talking and talking, and I was just listening and listening and listening and saying a few things here and there. And I was like, oh God, why he just never shuts up? And if I hadn't said something that I was going to go to bed, he would have just talked me to sleep on the floor of the kitchen. So I went to sleep, and then there was this other girl who was there, who also couch surfed for a bit. Like, there's a crossover of a couple of days. I don't think I stayed there very long. It was like 2 or 3 nights, maybe slightly more than that. But then in the daytime, I had to figure out shit to do because I wasn't allowed to stay in his apartment according to university rules, maybe, or just his rules. He was like, nah, I've got to go out to uni and you've got to get out as well. You can't be here while I'm at uni. So so I did, and it was pretty tricky though, because to have like nowhere to go back to and to be having to be kind of outside, out of the house all day and not know where the hell to go or what to do, and to not have any money either, was pretty hard. And that is when I did the busking things, the stuff I mentioned in the park when I was like standing on my guitar case and then holding out this hat and going blah 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 and holding my hat out, which I found hilarious when I told the story. So that's when I did that, I think. And also I went and spent some time in a bookshop because I had nowhere to go really. Like, I couldn't go back to ours until later, and I just had to drift around, and I was used to drifting around, but it was still kind of lonely, sad, disheartening, depressing, feeling lost, just drifting around New York, looking at stuff. I remember some cool things in this one particular bookshop. I believe it was a foils bookshop, or it may have been, I don't know if there was a bookshop called Strata, foils, strands, I don't know, maybe it was foils, strands, fine, whatever it was called, Blackwell's. Might have been called Blackwell's, actually. I don't know. Well, did I mention that I went to... Do you remember right near the beginning of the story, I told about the fact that I got on the train after coming out of the airport, and I got on the train to get into the centre of New York. And when I was on that train, I met a person who was reading the Tao Te Ching, this book. If you've not heard of it, then you should look it up, by a Chinese person called Lao Tzu or Lao Tse, and it's a book of wisdom, basically. It's a very small book but very concentrated. What is written in there is very powerful, and I had a copy of that with me and it was one of these books that had really taken me to a new understanding of things. It's a book that really shuts your mind up and slows you down and relaxes you down and quietens you down and kind of takes you to a different place. And I had this with me in my bag, and this girl had it on the train. I was like, bing, 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 wow, that's amazing, what a coincidence, and there's a connection here and all this stuff, because I was really big into like synchronicities and coincidences and connections and things like this. None of them ever went anywhere, but they had their limited value, as in for their like lifespan. I would use coincidences to guide me onto the next thing. And the thing I've always found very disappointing with running your life by coincidences is that they've never really seemed to produce the narrative that I thought they would. So following coincidences is always like, oh, it's 11:11, and then, oh, it's 11:11, and you never manage to piece together what will, if these things do have a meaning, then what the hell is the actual meaning, and what does it lead to? Where is it leading me to? Because I've followed coincidences and stuff for ages, and where did they lead me to? What have they led me to? You know, it's like nowhere. They've never led anywhere. So, and also the one, even when coincidences do seem to lead you somewhere, eventually that thing falls away anyway. So it's like, well, they've never really led anywhere of any particularly tangible value or any decent value. So either I am not going deep enough into understanding the meaning of these coincidences, or it's all a pile of bollocks. Well, those are the only two options that I have in my mind right now. I've got this book on coincidences and synchronicity called Synchrodestiny, and the author called Deepak Chopra is talking about how we can use synchronicity to lead us to our destiny. And I don't know whether it's just that I'm not in an environment where everyone else is living like that, so it's harder to follow synchronicities, because following synchronicities would probably mean going way off the beaten path of life and finding yourself in random situations. And in fact, following synchronicities has only ever really got me into very strange random situations that are great stories, like the time I spent a night in a crack addict's den, bare apartment, came out of that. Going to America. Okay, so maybe the synchronicities do lead to something, but it's only just a really fun and weird story that it leads to. It doesn't lead to, like, basically, I think I've said this before, but I want synchronicities, dear Lord, to be meaningful, to bring me to the love of my life, and to the money of my life. Give me the money is all I really want, really. Fame, give me the fame of my life. And what else? And a house of my life, and a car of my life. Yeah, and all they've ever really done is just taken me on a little sort of adventure into randomness rather than anything that's coherent. The thing with these synchronicities is that they're just tiny little things that kind of seem to drag you away from anything important or meaningful, in fact. I feel like they're creative, though. The synchronicities in life are creative. I like the creative feeling of them, because they give you... so you draw parallels and you draw meanings, and you say, oh, there's the word egg on the side of a van. And then, there's the word Egbert over there. And oh, look, there are eggs in the fridge. Right? And then you think, maybe eggs are important. And then I've actually concocted from these synchronicities that started showing up. I mean, I randomly started saying the word eggs as though it was the name of a dog. And I was calling it out, eggs, here, eggs. When I was in Bournemouth, because I just had all this high energy in me, whatever. And I just started, was walking by the sea in this like nice grassy area where people were walking their dogs a lot, right? This is not completely and utterly random. So people were walking their dogs a lot, and it was frustrating me that I was trying to just lie down on a bench, and every 5 minutes, a new person with a new dog would come along, and the new dog would come running around my bench, and I'm just trying to lie down and have I'm trying to rest. I want a brain rest. And then all these dogs were always coming sniffing around. It's like, it's annoying because I'm just trying to rest. I don't want to have dogs sniffing up my ass while I'm trying to rest on a bench. So I think part of that pissed me off, and I just decided to pretend to have a dog. But it's not even though I actually planned it. That makes it sound like I planned it. I didn't plan it at all. I just started walking around as I was walking from place to place, like like on my way home, for example, from this hillside grassy bit in Bournemouth. It's actually in Boscombe, but it's near Bournemouth. On this hillsidey bit, right? I was walking along and I just randomly started saying, eggs! Here, eggs! 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 Like that. And as though it was a dog. And I hadn't pre-planned it, it just spontaneously came out of me. And that was the beginning of using the word eggs randomly. And then I started to explore this word of eggs. Eggs. And once upon a time, my brother found an egg that had an egg within it. It was an egg within an egg. It was a real chicken egg. And it has a normal egg, and he cracked it open, and there was like, oh, there's this like baby egg inside it. The double egg is the egg within the egg, right? And that one had a yolk in it, and unfortunately there was not a further egg inside, but it was the egg, then another egg, and we was like, whoa. And so the synchronicities around the word eggs started to come up. So, for example, me randomly saying it for one thing, then seeing it like eggs on the on the side of a lorry, like egg company. I don't know what the hell it was, like Smithson Eggs Company or whatever, and they were just obviously transporting eggs. I keep saying that word, eggs, eggs, and then a show came on. There's a show called Eggheads actually. And then there's another show called Pointless, which my mum tends to watch when it's on. It's one of these crappy quiz show things. And they had a whole round on Pointless about eggs, like titles of stuff with the word egg in. And eggs just kept coming up. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake, eggs, 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 eggs. And I was developing at the time a world, like a universe similar to that of the Discworld from Terry Pratchett's Discworld universe kind of thing. And I was creating this cartoon world for my characters that I've created over a period of time, none of which I actually have on show right now, which is a shame. But and yeah, and I was creating, because I have these characters called Alien Robot Dinosaurs, which are cool. And what else do I have? I've got vampire, ice cream vampire girl, which is an ice cream with vampire wings, with bat wings and a vampire teeth and tits. Vampire, ice cream vampire, ice cream vampire girl. I can't remember her name. Ice cream vampire girl, yeah. So she goes on adventures and steals people's things. So I got all these cartoon ideas, and I got the Colour Bird, which is a long time, very old idea that I've had that I think about every day, pretty much. This fucking Colour Bird, and it's featured in one of my books, Psych Ward's, the Psych Ward books. Yeah, so I've got all these kind of like characters who needed a universe, right? And I was like, where do they all reside within? Because there's a problem. How do I kind of interweave their various worlds? You know, because the Colour Bird has its own universe or its own world that is just about birds. You've got ones that can fly and ones that can't fly, and the flying ones are colour, and the ones that can't fly are grey. So you've got greybills, which are the grey flightless birds, and then you've got the Colour Birds, which are these kind of bright and cheerful, colourful, adventurous birds. And they live in two separate worlds as well. So the Colour Birds all occupy a coloured space where it's like all rainbow colours and the full range of colours. And then the grey birds live in the grey world, which is all grey and flat and dull and lifeless and monochrome, as in, you know, monotonous and grey and dull. So it's grey, black and white, all just monochrome colours. And so they exist in that sphere, and then the alien robot dinosaurs have their own adventures as well. So they live on a spaceship in the shape of a penis. Some of them do anyway, and then some of them live in a spaceship that has a vagina feel to it. And So these alien robot dinosaurs go off on their adventures, in like visiting different planets and stuff, and a bit like Star Trek basically, but in a very weird form. Tends to be revolving around sex and spiritual ideas and stuff as well. So sex, gender, non-violence, sensitivity, things like this, peacefulness, spiritual awakening. These alien robot dinosaurs are going along to these different worlds and trying to promote peaceful values and trying to sort of revolutionize the spirituality in people's, and sexuality as well, in people's home planets. And what ends up happening is that all these people on the planets, not necessarily people, but life forms, whatever, on the planets, get really pissed off with the alien robot dinosaurs, because the alien robot dinosaurs, the one thing they haven't considered is they're being invasive by landing on these planets and trying to say, hey, learn ye the ways of the love and things. So they're pissing off everyone when they land, and everyone tries to kill them, which tends to happen in alien movies, where whenever an alien species comes to Earth, there's a mixed feeling, but overall I would say aliens have been depicted as bastards that humans are threatened by, and humans want to kill them. Of course, you get the odd films where the aliens are not a threat and they're not a bad thing, and they're actually a great, wondrous thing that are blessed and revered. And then obviously you get ones where they're mixed, so they come and live among us, like in Men in Black. But in my idea, you've got the alien robot dinosaurs, which are these aliens that live inside dinosaur suits, because I figured that three coolest things in the world ever are aliens, robots, and dinosaurs. So combine the three, all into one thing. Which is the best idea I have ever come up with in my whole life, apart from Colorbird. So they have the whole kind of thing going on there, which is not necessarily separate from the color world. I mean, I'm sure the alien robot dinosaurs could visit the color world and the grey world, and that would be really a boring story, and I don't really want to do that. But so I figured, where do all these things exist? Where do all these things reside? And partly they exist in my psyche. So then I realized that these different creatures and their different worlds all exist within my psyche, right? They're aspects of me, and they've come from me, and I've developed them, right? So they exist inside me. And then also you have different flavors to each of these worlds as well. So you've got the world of Fieros, the world of Aquos, the world of Budos, the world of Eros, the world of Fieros. And I'm like, oh, well, what do all of these fit within as well? And I was like, I don't know, man. Well, it's kind of awareness, isn't it? It's the spiritual awareness of life. It's the overriding universal consciousness that everything exists within. And I was like, okay, right, but I can't really draw that. So what can I use? I need to give these things something within which they all fit, and then they're gonna have to relate to each other somehow. So eggs, they all exist within an egg. Everything exists within a consciousness egg. An egg of consciousness, right? It's like a not completely spherical, eggful, oval. That's the right word. In an ovulum, an ovulation, eggness of consciousness, a concentration of consciousness within the total cosmic eggness, which exists within the vastness of consciousness itself. So you have a concentration of consciousness which gives rise to these different worlds and all these different characters within them. So we have that. So within the overall eggiverse of consciousness, it crystallizes, it sort of condenses into other eggs. So you have this giant big motherfucker egg which contains all other eggs within it, and outside of that egg is the expansiveness of just everything, like as in the nothingness and everythingness of the universe, infiniteness of the universe, right? But as soon as it becomes form it turns into this giant, almost infinite but limited egg, the Eggiverse, right? And then within each layer of that egg, of that giant, massive, really big Eggiverse, you have the littler eggs, you know, layers of egg, and different coloured layers, and so you have the colour world exists within one of the layers of the eggs, yeah, or one of the eggs, I don't know exactly just yet. And everything in the whole universe, the whole manifested universe, is contained within this one overarching egg, and within its own separate, unique Eggiverse in there itself. So it's just like Russian eggs, Russian dolls, whatever you call those things, Fabergé eggs, just loads of them inside. Because, I don't know, it just felt right. It felt like that's how life really is, that when you enter one person's world, it's like a concentration of consciousness. It's like an egg. So you enter someone's world, you enter a new place, and it's a new sphere of consciousness, but not necessarily spherical, but an egg-riffle consciousness. You know, you perceive the world as egg related, basically. So synchronicities helped me to get that idea, because it was like it just suddenly, all these seeing of the word egg and and stuff, I just went bing, oh god, yeah, that makes total sense, they all live within an egg. I sound like a total crazy person, I know. When you see the books, the cartoon book things that I'm going to make from them, you'll understand, if I ever get around to it. So yeah, okay, well, there we go. We started off in Al's place. And when I was in the bookshop at Al's, right, this is in the financial district of New York. Forget about eggs. Let those eggs dissolve now. I was in New York. This is a long time ago. Trying to figure out synchronicities a little bit, yeah. I had that dream. Remember I told you about the dream where I suddenly woke up as though I was underneath this, I was in the water, and I was like scrabbling to get up, and then I burst out of the surface of water, and it was like I suddenly come to life in my true self, and my true self woke up like, whoa, bing, this is the truth, this is the reality. And it was like this infinite tiny spark of light. This is a really psychedelic video, I've just realised that. Look at the room. Woo-hoo-hoo, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I woke up to my true self in the tiny spark of light, but it was more than just a tiny spark of light. It was a spark of eternity. Like, I suddenly became one with the universe, and then, oh, it's gone, and I'm back in the room, and I'm like, and I could never get back to that feeling in the same way. Anyway, I feel like maybe I live from that place kind of now, but I'm not sure, because I've lost contrast. I don't know what it feels like to not be in that place, I suppose. I don't know. I live in an egg. Oh yeah, so I went out to the bookshop and spent a while in there, and I just sat on this little stool, and I got one of these little books off the shelf, of the many shelves, and oh yeah, I went exploring around this bookshop for quite a while. Yes, I did. And I came across this book, one book, when I sat on this little stool chair thing next to the shelves. I got this book, and it said something like, the lifespan of man is but the same as a speck of dust in the sky, or a flash of a shooting star between night and morning. I don't know. It's something like profound kind of thing, and I read that and I was like, that sucks. Yeah, I can't remember what bloody book it was either. I think it was something like The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Kahlil Gibran. Yeah. Oh man. Wow, this room is psychedelic, huh? What am I on about? Oh yeah, so that wasn't particularly interesting. I just remember it as a memory. And I was quite depressed during that time because I was like lost, again homeless, but had this place to go back to at Al's, but didn't know what I was doing. And I went into the bookshop and I was really searching for this colourful feeling that I felt like I needed to be somewhere in particular in life, and it feels a bit like China. I wanted to be somewhere where the world around me was extremely colourful and full of life, a bit like a jungle. So I was looking for images in books if I could find anything that reminded me of that. And the closest thing I came to was images of what it's like in China, where you've got like the lovely nature stuff, and then you've got all this really intricately designed houses. Like all the sort of decoration of China is amazing. So yeah, so maybe I was being called to go to China or something, and I just felt I was really craving. I needed to see this place. Maybe it was because I was in such an urban, really urban city environment that I was just feeling this real craving to be in somewhere much more lush with nature. And then I found this cartoon book called Buddha or Awakening, the Awakening Buddha story, or Siddhartha or Gautama Buddha story, which is a cartoon retelling of the Buddha's life. But I didn't read it because I was like, yeah, I don't know. That's it. So those are the few. Oh, so I went to the bookstore, right? Back to the beginning. That I was saying how I met this girl on the train with the Tao Te Ching, right? And I was like, oh, connection, blah blah blah. Oh, we should meet up or something. Took her email. Yeah, I think I took her email. Yeah, I took her email address. Emailed her later on and said, blah blah blah. We should meet up. And we did meet up. She worked at a bookshop. This is a whole series about bookshops today. I mean, a whole session about bookshops. She worked at a bookshop called The Strand, if that is a bookshop. Strands. The Strand. Strands. 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 I'm getting the sense of strands is the word for it. Might be something else. But yeah, Strand's bookshop. And I went to visit her there, and we just hung out on the grass for a bit on a lunchtime. And then she said that she was seeing someone, and I was like, so much for you, synchronicities, bringing me to the love of my life. Bing, that one's done. Where's the money then? No money either. Oh yeah, and then more bookshops in America as well. Oh god, there's loads of spiritual bookshops in America as well, which is nice. I went to the spiritual bookshop in America called, I don't know what the hell, Chigwell's. No, I don't know. I don't know what it's called. Oh god. And they had these singing bowls. Ding, 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 boo, boo, bing, bing, boo, boo, boo. And I was just like a lost little soul. I was totally a lost soul, just reading little bits of books, picking stuff up and going, whoa. I didn't have money to buy it anyway. But yeah, and then they had these singing bowls, ding, 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 which is interesting. And then there was this book about 2012. This bookshop is amazing, actually. Man, I need to go back there. It just had everything on everything that you could possibly think of, spirituality-wise. Anyway, there was a book I picked up briefly about energy vampires. And I read a little bit about it in there. Yeah, God, there's so many books were in there. They're all really cool ones as well, that I find cool anyway, spiritual type of stuff. Yeah, okay. And probably that was when I realised that my parents were energy vampires, because I'd read that in a book, and therefore it was true. But it is kind of true. Well, it was kind of true at the time. They're not that way anymore, but they did feel very energetically vampirous. Vampiric. Yeah, energetically vampirous. yeah, they did feel that way to me for a long period of time. Okay, energy vampires. Batman begins to crusade again. Stop him, Robin, he's in it for revenge. He's lost sight of his boundaries. He's lost our respect for the baddies. Oh. Okay, let's get the plectrum out, shall we? This is a bit of the song called Energy Vampires. And I kind of wrote it partly when I was at Mrs. D's house, and then partly when I got back. The energy vampires are in our midst. 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 Okay. I'm the cavalier surgeon. I don't wear protection, rather be infected. See how resilient I am as Batman begins to crusade again. Stop him, Robin, he's in it for revenge. He's lost sight of his boundaries. He's lost our respect for the baddies. Energy vampires, energy vampires, energy vampires. Energy vampires, energy vampires, energy vampires. The energy vampires are in our midst. Energy vampires are in our midst. The energy vampires are in our midst. The energy vampires are in our midst. I'm the cavalier surgeon. I don't wear protection. I'd rather be infected. See how resilient I am as Batman begins to crusade again. Stop him, Robin, he's in it for revenge. He's lost sight of his boundaries. He's lost our respect for the baddies. They're energy vampires, energy vampires, energy vampires. Energy vampires, energy vampires, energy vampires. I can't remember the rest of it, unfortunately. That was cool, kind of shit, but whatever. Yeah, alright, there you go. Man, that song. There's another verse, and like links and stuff between the different parts that I've forgotten because it's been so long. But it's nice to play it again. I really love the Batman Begins bit. So Batman, when I wrote the song, I was trying to use it as a metaphor for me crusading to try and bring spiritual awakening to my parents, and they just weren't having any of it at all. So the energy vampires would be my parents, and then this strangely sexual imagery about not wearing protection and being a cavalier surgeon. It's like I was trying to help my parents, trying to fix my parents emotionally, and it was like I was putting myself in harm's way by kind of trying to help them with their emotions and trying to bring spirituality to them and trying to bring this sense of awareness to them. And I was just kind of being invasive, I suppose. Invasive is the word, which links back to the robot dinosaurs thing from earlier. Yeah, but invasive, basically, of my parents' eggs, the bubbles within which that they lived. Yeah. So there's another character I made up called Batsquito Man, which is a bit like Batman, but who's a mosquito at the same time. So he had this long proboscis nose thing, and he would try and rescue people from awkward social situations, and he would always, that was his superpower, was he would show up. And I don't know why Batsquito Man, because I think the mosquito thing is the energy vampire aspect, right? So vampire bat, mosquitoes are vampiric as well. Yeah, tenuous link there. But so there was this Batsquito Man who would come along and save people from their awkward social situations. But I suppose, now that I think about it, he would probably suck some energy out of them at the same time, because essentially he's being invasive, and he's a vampire. He's an energy vampire. So I don't know. But yeah, so Batman begins to crusade again. Stop him, Robin. He's in it for revenge. He's lost sight of his boundaries. He's lost all respect for the baddies, because, you know, even Batman respects the bad guys to some extent, because he doesn't kill, does he? Batman does not kill, for the most part. So, yeah, that was that song, and then they're energy vampires. Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense. But it's a fun song to play. Yeah. So, this is a really psychedelic video. I've realised this is just going whack. And it's probably because of the fucking room. You know. Oh well, I'm gonna leave it there because I'm starting to lose my brain. I'm losing my mind even more than I already had. So we should leave it at that, and I'll try and figure out how to do the next video next time. See you next time on Fieros Venus. Hey look, there's my career.